8 years ago, we were treated to Kung Fu Panda 3, what many believed to be the last installment of the Kung Fu Panda film franchise. But then, in August 2022, DreamWorks told us that they were going to make another Kung Fu Panda film. This movie then came out, and so many people have been calling it mid, which I really can't understand. This movie is so much more than mid. I really enjoyed it, and that's why I need to talk about it. Let me explain. Hi all, I'm the Grinning Critic and I love talking about movies with a grin. Luckily today, I can talk about a movie with a huge grin on my face. Although I love Kung Fu Panda, I was very concerned going into this movie. And that is because the Furious 5 are not in this movie. Well, yes, they are cameos in this movie. And yes, Manus says like one line or something. But they're really not in the movie. They're just really not. That really concerned me. The reason that these characters are not in this movie is due to budget cuts. You see, DreamWorks hasn't been doing the best with their movies financially recently. I mean, one of their recent films, Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, only made $46 million at the global box office against a $70 million budget, excluding marketing. They lost over $100 million in that film, probably. They probably did, which is really sad. And it's because of how poorly the film was marketed by Universal, and it just looked kind of weird. So a lot of people skipped that movie. And Trolls Band Together didn't make a ton of money either. And they're making more and more movies, DreamWorks. I mean, they're making 3 movies this year and 3 movies next year. They need money for other projects. They can't spend all their money on this film. So that's why this film has a significantly less budget than its predecessors. The other 3 Kung Fu Panda films were made on a budget of $140 million. This film was made on a budget of $85 million. Now, does having a higher budget always make a film better? Not necessarily. Recently, I was listening to an interview with Matthew Vaughn, and he was talking about how he likes how smaller budget films requires the filmmakers to be more creative, because they're working around finding clever ways to make the story that they want to make without the budget they have. And you can see that a bit here. I mean, this is a more character-focused movie than the other Kung Fu Panda movies, and by having a smaller budget, I think enhances this film. In many ways, this film is more of a legacy sequel to the Kung Fu Panda trilogy than it is a 4th installment of the Kung Fu Panda franchise. It feels fairly different from the other 3. The other 3 were Po and the Furious 5 fighting some bad guy. This time it's about Po teaching a younger character on a Kung Fu mission to fight a bad guy. It's got a similar premise to many other legacy sequels, where the main character is now teaching a younger character the skills that they have. We see legacy sequels with a premise like this in movies such as Creed, where Rocky Balboa is teaching the son of Adonis Creed how to box. Or Star Wars The Last Jedi, where Luke Skywalker is teaching Rey the ways of the Force. Or Spider-Man No Way Home, where the Tom Holland Spider-Man is being taught by the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man the ways of being Spider-Man. Or even Top Gun Maverick, where Tom Cruise's character Maverick is now teaching some younger fighter pilots. Now, when a franchise like this has been going for a long time, I ask myself, why has the franchise been going for so long? The Kung Fu Panda franchise has been going for 16 years now. Many franchises just keep pushing out entries because the movies make a lot of money, not because there's any value in expanding the franchise. Well, it makes me very happy to say that Kung Fu Panda 4 is not an uninspired cash grab. There are actually reasons to make this movie other than for it to make a whole bunch of money. There's actual reasons in DreamWorks making this movie. One reason, which I kind of already covered, was this being a legacy sequel where Po passes the baton onto another character for them to become a warrior just like him. Other reasons for this film to exist is because the franchise is just very, very funny and they've always got some great jokes in them. I mean, you've got this pelican character who has this fish who lives inside its mouth. The pelican's the fish's adoptive mother. It was just really creative and I really liked it. And yes, I could talk about many other jokes I liked in this film, but I don't think it's worth me spending my time talking about a whole bunch of jokes, because I want you to experience them first. Another thing that makes this franchise worth continuing is Jack Black. I mean, he really gives it his all in this film. I think he's done the best he's ever done as Po. I mean, he sings in this film in the credits scene as well. He sings his own cover of Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time. Honestly, it was fantastic hearing that cover. That cover was actually great. Like, I'm being serious. Masterpiece cover. I love that cover. But I think the real value in continuing the Kung Fu Panda franchise is its action. I mean, the action sequences are great in this franchise. The action scenes are the best of the Kung Fu Panda series in this film. And that's because they've used bright, highlighted visuals, and they're more expressive, the action scenes in this film, which is something that I really like. They were great to watch. Now, before I start talking about the villain in this film, I must say that I am going to be talking about a spoiler. I just need to. There's also a spoiler for the first Kung Fu Panda film later on in this video. That's your warning. I do recommend seeing both those films. I really enjoy both those films. Check them out, then come back here. Okay, so I really liked the villain in this film. The villain is this shape-shifting sorcerer called the Chameleon, who really wanted to learn Kung Fu, and will do anything to learn Kung Fu. So it arranged for Zen the Fox to bring Oogway's staff to her through Po. And by having Oogway's staff, the villain can then access the spirit realm and bring back the greatest Kung Fu masters to give her Kung Fu powers, which lends to an epic fight in the end of the movie that I just loved. Now, while I have been praising this film, is it a perfect film? No, it's got some issues with it. One issue that I had with this film was the whole premise about how there needs to be a new Dragon Warrior. It had been prophesied for thousands of years that there'd be a Dragon Warrior. It says that in the original film. It never talks about there being another Dragon Warrior. That just doesn't make sense to me. But at the end of the film, Zhen has to go to prison. But however, she doesn't go to prison, she ends up training with the Furious Five. Another issue that I had with this film was Tai Lung's desire to go back to the spirit realm. It didn't really make sense to me. In the end of Kung Fu Panda 1, he really didn't want to go back to the spirit realm. He was really upset when Po was about to press his finger on him and go, skadoosh! But however, he wants to go back in this film. That just didn't make sense to me. Look, at the end of the day, I had a huge grin on my face. This movie is tons of fun. I'm going to give Kung Fu Panda 4 a B+. Thanks so much for watching, and I'm the Grinning Critic, and don't forget to subscribe to me.